Welcome to episode 210 of the weekly Shared Security Show. And joining me this week are InfoSec celebrities, Kevin Johnson and Scott Wright.
Hello. Thank you very much.
Hello, celebrities.
I'm trying to decide. I've heard of A-list celebrities. I've heard of B-list celebrities. That one comedian that got in trouble for cutting her own head off or something was a D-list celebrity. If I'm a celebrity, I think I'm down by W.
W list.
Well, Kevin, I think you're on some type of InfoSec celebrity list on Twitter.
Did you put me on an InfoSec celebrity list on Twitter?
Maybe I did.
Okay. I'm just checking if the way you know this is because you're the person who did it.
Well, I have seen it. Maybe I don't remember, but
yeah.
but you are a celebrity in my eyes and probably the eyes of many of our fans. So congratulations on that.
Yes, congrats.
You're all wrong.
Yes. So here we are for another week of exciting stories to talk about. And there is nothing going on in the world that, with this first story, by the time you're listening to this on Monday, let's just not hope that Russia has invaded the Ukraine, right? That would be bad.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Invading, no matter which nouns on either side, tend to be bad, right?
Yeah. Invasions usually mean bad.
And the first story gives a little hope that maybe the hackers will be able to prevent that.
Yes. So hacktivists, I love that word, hacktivists in Belarus have infected the network of the country's state-run railroad system with ransomware. And they are saying that they will only provide the decryption key only if Belarus president Alexander Lukashenko stops aiding the Russian troops with this supposed invasion of the Ukraine. And this is actually the first time we've seen a ransomware attack be used in this manner.
Yeah,
which is kind of fascinating,
right?
Yeah.
I believe very strongly in this thing, so I'm going to encrypt this random other things computers to get you to do the thing I want you to do.
We can also call this
okay.
We could call this active defense, right?
It's
no.
That's
a trademark term. John Strand, whose birthday it is today.
Happy birthday, John!
When you're listening on this, it will be John Strand's birthday, and but I think he's trademarked that term. Here's my question, and I'm not. I know I made the joke. I'm not saying they're wrong, they're right, they're doing the right thing, they're doing the wrong thing. I don't know. I really don't know. My one question is, did they target the rail system because that's what they got? Or do they target the rail system because they believe the government is using the rails to help the Russians?
The latter, yeah.
Right. Is this I've hit you to get you to stop this thing over here, or is it I directly attacked the system? Because my immediate thought goes to commuters. If you hit the WMTA, MATA, or whatever it is in DC, if you did ransomware there, the government really probably wouldn't care very much, even though it is a government-run facility. Care very much as in it impacts them, not that they don't care about. Well, I've been on that subway; they don't care. But is it directly preventing, the movement of troops and things like that? Or is it really just, we found a system we knew would cause a big enough impact? Kind of like the protesters in the UK sitting down in the streets to protest housing problems. Right? You know what I mean? And I'm not bad mouthing about it. I'm not saying they're wrong. No. Right. I'm just curious about if it's a direct attack or if it's an indirect attack.
According to the story, it is a direct attack. It was purposely done to prevent troops and equipment because Russia has been using this because they have an arrangement with the Belarus government to bring troops and equipment through the railway system. So these hacktivists thought, well, if we can stop the rail system from working using ransomware, that just seems to be the tool they used, right?
Yeah.
And they have done that.
I don't think it'll work. And here's why I don't think it'll work. I've seen rail systems.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to track things. They're not going to be able to do stuff like that. But I really don't think the military is that dependent on the Russian military.
They'll find another way. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
They'll find another way to.
Right.
They just won't use the rail system.
They'll just use the rail system and not have it monitored.
Well, I mean, it's things like controlling the switches, right? That
right.
And so they could do it manually. Most likely, they could disconnect the circuits that control the switches and just connect electrical actuators and do that. So I know
here in the U.S. the systems are still controlled manually in an emergency. Like it's like they don't have to go to the switch and unhook things.
Okay.
My understanding is they still can control the switches. And again, I'm not bad. Like I know I rant all the time, and Tom even said, "Let's see how mad Kevin gets today." But that's not what I'm saying. I'm just like this to me is I 100% support protesting. I'm a rabid First Amendment supporter. I just tend to lean toward wanting protests to be effective. And I think this might be. I don't know. I don't
know if this is a protest, more of like an action to stop something. Like I mean, this is beyond like holding up signs and you know.
No, I agree.
Please don't attack us.
It's still a protest, right? Like they're right. Like from it's a much more direct and actionful protest, right?
Sure.
I don't know. It's interesting. I lean toward you really want to stop the Russians from moving, and you're a hacktivist. I would lean toward actually attacking the person making the decision. There are people, the Serbian president, that you could probably really embarrass and get him. Like, if you're going that route, blackmail seems to make more sense to me. I don't know.
Compromise.
And again, I want to be very clear. I'm not recommending blackmail. This is not Kevin saying, yes, blackmail those people. I'm just...
Compromise. There must be some tapes. There must be some tapes somewhere we can...
Yeah, somebody peeing on somebody or whatever.
So weird. Like all of these Russian generals, all of a sudden were tied to Jeffrey Epstein. I don't know what happened.
Exactly. Right? Like, you got it in one. That would do it, right? Like I don't know. I feel like one, it would be more effective, and two, the articles would be way more interesting.
Yeah, but it is an interesting story. I think it is kind of
totally
new type of topic to talk about.
Oh yeah, I mean, let's be very clear, right? We've seen other hacktivism like this. Was it Boston Children's Hospital? That wasn't ransomware, right? But the attacker, I want to say it was Boston Children's Hospital, and I'm actually embarrassed that I don't remember which hospital it was because I actually shared the stage with the CSO of the organization to discuss the attack, and the Children's Hospital was treating a kid who was in the middle of a custody battle. It was a very acrimonious custody battle. And the attackers hit the hospital and shut stuff down. And I actually think they may have used ransomware somewhat, but just minorly. And they were doing it specifically because they wanted this kid to be given back to like the mom or something like that. And they were saying the hospital was doing the wrong thing. The sad part about that one was the kid had already left the hospital. Like the hospital had nothing to do with the custody battle, had nothing to do with anything else. And not only that, but the child was no longer at the hospital.
Yeah.
So it accomplished nothing. So I don't know.
It's one of the reasons why we certainly don't endorse this type of attack because it can go wrong so many ways, right? But interesting. I picked up on at the beginning of your introduction to the story, Tom, when you're talking about hacktivists, and Kevin laughed, and so I'm wondering like. What do you guys think of that term? Because I hear it all the time in training courses when they talk about types of threats, right?
It was probably created by an old politician that doesn't actually understand technology and was like, "Oh yeah, hacktivists, they're awful." I don't know, right? Like for all I know, Douglas Adams wrote it right next to the number 42, and it came from that. I don't know. I think there has to be a term, right, to say, "Hey, this is what's going on." It is a different type of attack, right? I personally, like you said, you don't endorse it. I actually do in some cases. I think there is absolutely reasons to do. That's why I always laugh at the term ethical hacker, because Everybody's ethical.
Certified ethical hacker, yes.
No, even the term ethical hacker. Every hacker is ethical at some level. Their ethics are just different than yours.
Yeah.
A bank robber's ethics say it's okay to rob banks. They're still being ethical to their own ethos. It's not standard ethics. It's not my ethics.
It's a great point.
You can go down so many rabbit holes with semantics, but in the end, the public decides on how a word is interpreted.
Yeah. So. Well, it's the same thing as hacking is not a crime, right? That whole movement of we want to get the word back. We don't want hacking to be known as a crime. Hacking is a crime. There's laws against hacking that explicitly say hacking is not a crime. What that is a crime, what they mean by that. And I agree with them. Like, I actually agree with the movement, but it's semantics. Yeah. We've lost control of the word hacker. Yeah. Hacker is, for the public, considered a bad guy.
Yeah.
When we say hacking is not a crime, what we're talking about is very specific and true, but we're not going to win that argument.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Right. That reminds me when I was 16 and on my first car, I had a bumper sticker that said skateboarding is not a crime.
Ooh.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Because I was a skateboarder and in the late 80s, we were persecuted by the police and
those darn
business owners for skateboarding on property, which now the skateboarding itself was not a crime, but the actions that the skateboarder did on private property therefore was a crime. So
murder is not a crime. If right? That, it's all semantics, and the problem is a bumper sticker isn't going to have enough detail to say, like, I can make the comment, put Kevin back. I have that sticker, put Kevin
I know
back.
You do.
But there's no context to people. The three of us know, put Kevin Mitnick under the jail. Right? KnowBe4 will never be a sponsor of something I do, pretty similar to check marks.
But just for clarity, for people who aren't familiar with Kevin Mitnick, I mean, most people listening to this probably are, but Kevin Mitnick went to jail for hacking decades ago, right? And
social engineering.
Well, so hacking can be debatable.
Yeah, hacking, you're right.
So maybe that's another podcast.
Yeah. Here's the funny part. I have to say this. This is so funny to me that you said that. I was just on a phone call last week scoping a job for IANS. And we were talking about training, and the customer said to me, we'd like to take your training that we're going to buy from you, and we'd like to host it on our learning management system that KnowBe4 runs. And I said, I'm very sorry, but we have a policy that our content can never be hosted on the KnowBe4 platform. And they said, why? And I thought, I don't want to get into this argument. I'll just make it very clear. Kevin Mitnick is one of the founders of KnowBe4. And nobody on the call except for me knew who Kevin Mitnick was.
That's the thing.
They are security people. Yeah. They were the information security department at this massive company, and all of them like, I don't know.
It's funny because I talk to a lot of managers that are responsible for security awareness, right? So they're not necessarily security awareness managers as a role, but they've got that as part of their responsibility. And almost all of them know who Kevin Mitnick is because of the fact that they're managing a security awareness program. If it wasn't for that, they may not know.
Exactly. Yeah. It totally. It was just funny to me that it just happened, and
yeah. And what I was going to say is, he went to jail for some period of time, and there were activists or supporters of his who had bumper stickers that said "Free Kevin." They had signs up at conferences while he was in jail.
Heck, if you went to bulletin board systems or I want to say websites at the time, but I don't remember the years. But the entire interface was yellow with free Kevin.
Yeah, there were so many different.
I'll tell you, the first time I saw it, I'm like, what did I do?
But I think that's why I think it's funny, and people should now be able to make the connection for Kevin's bumper sticker that says "Put Kevin back." So that's.
Okay. So
fun.
Next story, I guess.
Yeah. We have to dig ourselves out of that rabbit hole real quick here. Yeah. But so let's get into this week's segment of Aware Much.
Aware Much. Thanks, Tom.
You're welcome.
Today we want to remind people that vendors with cool new tech often don't get security right all the time. Right? And
say it isn't.
That usually ends up having some impact on privacy and security of your network, perhaps. So we have to ask, aware much? And in this installment of Aware Much, we're looking at the Insta360 ONE X2 camera. This sounds like something out of XK CD, right? The name.
It really does.
So it's a portable
bag.
camera, cool looking little thing that is, I guess, becoming popular. I had not heard of it before.
Like a GoPro.
Yeah, kind of like a.
Yeah.
But rather than having me blab about, what's been discovered about this model of the camera, I'm going to invite Tom and Kevin to count the ways that you might be put at risk when using this device. And then I'll wrap things up with a little summary and some tips.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I found this on Reddit, and actually somebody actually put this on the Insta360 subreddit.
Yeah.
So that, like, owned by the company.
Ooh, there's a PR disaster coming. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because he even said, he's like, this is probably going to get deleted, so I'm just posting it here.
Still there, isn't it?
It's still there, yeah. But this person found a bunch of security vulnerabilities in the latest version of their camera. Again, very popular camera that a lot of people are buying because of the features. He had discovered that it broadcasts the Wi-Fi signal with a common name that anyone could instantly see, and to connect to the camera, the camera's network. They found a hard-coded password. So this is beyond a default password, right?
Yeah.
Where we see a lot of these Wi-Fi cameras and devices that have really poor passwords, admin or what have you, but they used all 8s. And the guy actually pulled up the code because he's using the Android app. So he got the code, showed the source code where it actually is hard coded, all 8s. So that means you can't change the password if it's hard coded in the source code.
You can change the camera,
and then Yeah. And so with that, you could access all the photos, all the videos, everything that's captured through like your web browser pretty easily. So it's easy to identify these on a network is really the what he's trying to demonstrate. And then he went to show how he could get root access through Wi-Fi and gain complete control of the device. All through these vulnerabilities that were found. And then there was some other stuff about permissions and other things in the mobile app, but just a complete disaster in terms of.
So I have a question. When you say complete control of the device, does that go as far as allowing malicious code to actually weaponize the device and start attacking other things on your network?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And in fact, he did talk about how wormable the vulnerabilities were that he found.
Right. Because it would compromise the device, and then using the device compromise the next device. And
that's crazy.
This to me it's interesting, because I guarantee you that when this app was built, when this camera was built, when this company decided, hey, let's create this Scrabble letter bag of a name product. I'm not even going to attempt to get it right.
Insta360 ONE X2.
Like, here's my problem with this. The minute you call it a 360 in numbers and then the word one, you're just screwing with me.
Yeah.
Because I would type that as 361, and that would be wrong.
Yeah.
But
yes.
Right. So here's my issue. I guarantee you that if security was mentioned in the discussion when they were building this, and I actually believe it probably was, like I think we're at a point, it's 2022, even the companies that we think, man, they suck, Comcast, but even those companies, they think about security. Somebody says, hey, what about, right? And I guarantee you that they sat down and said, what's the risk? It's a camera. It's a personal device. It's not going to be connected to a bank network. It's probably not that serious. You know what? We're good. And it's a total lack, both on the person who announced the vulnerability side and on the company side, of understanding actual risk matrices, right? The company didn't understand the risk because they don't understand that device absolutely is going to be plugged into a bank network at some point, right? So they have to consider that. Plus, they have to consider the fact that people are going to look at the device. And on the flip side of it, the security researcher, I'm going to say, I assume, right? Like somebody who's like, hey, I tested this thing and I dug into this. I will guarantee you that they've not considered what actual severity. The wormable stuff is bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. But like the hard-coded password, that's really bad from an industry standard perspective. But from a consumer device, is it? I think so. But I'm not responsible for managing the device. I'm not responsible for how they update it. I'm not responsible for all that. So I'm not saying it's okay. I'm saying, what was the thought process when they built that? That's important to know. And the reason I think it's important to know ties directly into, Scott, your product, is that if we don't understand why the user, in this case, the architect, the developer, the company, right? If we don't understand why the user made the wrong decision, just beating up on them the way traditional social engineering training doesn't fix the problem. Right. And I feel like I'm pimping your product, but it should be, because it's really good. And like,
thank you, Kevin.
Because what we've you owe me $5. No. But the reality is, the going on the Reddit and going, "Whoa, your product sucks," isn't going to fix the product. It gets this dude some attention. That's good. It gets people to be aware of the vulnerability. That's good. But it doesn't fix the ultimate problem. I don't think his goal was to fix the ultimate problem.
No, it's actually, I think he said in the post, he didn't set out to do research on how to hack the device.
No.
He was trying to figure out how to deal with the unusable interface or something.
Which quite often is how people find stuff. That's why I said security research, I guess, right? Is like, so often we don't find vulnerabilities because we're like, man, I'm going to hack that crap right there. It's because we try to use something. My daughter's school lunch thing, when Brenna went to public school for that short period of time, we went in to log into the system to pay for her lunches. And we were given her username and password. It was set up when she enrolled in the school. And we went in and we logged in and we reset the password and we changed it to something that actually was somewhat secure, not her name the way it was. And then the next day, Denise realized that she hadn't put enough in for we were supposed to put enough in for like 2 weeks or something like that. So Denise went back to the system, tried to log in and couldn't. She wasn't trying to hack it. She wasn't trying to break anything. And she found out that what they were doing was every night at midnight, they reset every single account for the students back to the
original password. Oh my God.
Right. And did it for usability. They were tired of trying to support these kids and parents who weren't used to technology. Right. And again, they made the wrong decision. They made the insecure decision, but they did it for a reason they thought was good. And it's important for us to know why they did it so we can fix the problem.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
That's an amazing story. I love that. Holy cow. So any other comments on the technical side, guys? And I can wrap it up.
The only other thing I'd say is, and mention is that, we do try to promote to companies that they should have a way for people to disclose security vulnerabilities. Usually it's an email or there's something on their website telling them where to go or what have you. I mean, I just looked on their website and they had nothing, even though they have a lot of ways to contact them, various emails, phone number, address, what have you. I agree with you, Kevin. I think this guy wasn't a security professional per se. I think he just is a guy that was like bitching about, look at all this stuff I found and I'm just going to throw it up here on Reddit. But, this is another case of like, I didn't see anything on their site about here's how to report a security vulnerability. So I would, that would be my challenge to this company of like, you should think about that, no matter how insecure your products are.
But did you check for a security.txt file though?
That's a waste of time.
I'm just kidding.
I did not do that, Kevin. Scott, I'm sorry.
If I may just add to that, right? Because I guarantee you call out the company that way and the company's answer is going to be like, we have a support line. If anybody has ever tried to call a support line to report a vulnerability, you will know that is not a functional way.
No.
Right? Because I've done it. I know, Tom, you've done it, right?
Yep, I have.
hey, your system is attacking my system right now. Oh, you hacked us? Nope, not what I said.
Here's our legal department.
Hack wasn't even in the word. Like, there was no sentence of that. Like, it's useless that way.
Wow, that's awesome. So, I mean, aside from Kevin's awesome story also about managing risks and how we all have to sort of step back and realize what's going on, just in the case of the Insta360 ONE X2, you got to realize that virtually every toy that you buy these days that has electronics in it and isn't just a solid piece of metal or plastic has a computer and code that probably has configuration interfaces for communicating with the world. So that means that whether you're using it at home or business, you want to protect your personal information and other systems on your network. So please review the privacy and security settings for anything you buy that is electronic, really, like network names and admin passwords for configuring and sharing of information. All those things you need to lock down so that you don't end up broadcasting all your pictures to the neighbors, etc. Right? So this handy tip was brought to you by ClickArmor, the first immersive gamified security awareness training platform that Kevin loves. And remember, you should be able to click with confidence. So try ClickArmor at clickarmor.ca/sharedsec.
Taste tested, Kevin approved.
Sorry.
Excellent.
The one thing I always feel bad about when we say good things about your product, Scott, I consider you a friend. I like you. I think you're good.
Like you.
And I always worry that people think, oh, he's just saying that stuff because Scott's there, he's a sponsor. And no, I'm actually really impressed with what you've done.
Well, thanks. You're going to be more impressed next week when I announce some more stuff.
The impressiveness keeps continuing.
Yeah,
so
it does not stop.
What does it mean to go off the grid? Well, for most of us that are constantly relying on our phones, tablets, and laptops, it means shutting them off and doing some other activity like enjoying nature or spending time with friends and family. Now, you're probably a lot like me and struggle with turning off or putting down that smartphone because we always feel the need to be constantly connected. Listen, it's hard to go off the grid, but the good news is that there are products that can help. So that's why I recommend using a silent Faraday bag, which can instantly block all wireless signals, quickly taking you off the grid and giving you back control of your wireless devices. Check out their full product line at slnt.com, and because you listen to this podcast, make sure you use discount code SHAREDSECURITY at checkout to receive 10% off your order.
Above the border.
So yes, that's right. So let's talk about our last story of the week, which is Google is accused of deceptive location tracking in a new round of lawsuits. So Texas, Indiana, Washington State, and District of Columbia have sued Google over what they call deceptive location tracking practices because they falsely led consumers to believe that by just changing account and device settings would protect their private location data. And what ended up happening here was that there apparently there are two settings, even though Google directed people to turn off the location history setting. There was another setting that essentially overrode that under web and app activity that continued to log location and other personal data. So now they're being sued over that. Not just those states. There's a whole host of other lawsuits going on in the country, not just for this, but for other things at Google around their privacy settings. It's kind of a total mess.
Yeah.
But I thought this was interesting because, we talk a lot about the privacy settings in Google, Facebook, and all these apps. And what I find specific about Google that's interesting is that and if you've looked in your privacy settings in Google, it's very complex. It is a very large, complex ecosystem that you have to navigate. And that's kind of like they've created this monster. And I don't think this was intentional. by Google. I don't think they said, yep, we're going to be tricky here, guys, and they're going to think they're turning this off, and haha, guess what? It's not really off, right? I just think this is a problem of complexity with privacy settings and how easy it is for companies to make mistakes, not intentional, but there's so much data that they have to control now by law in a lot of cases.
Enron
I
has
just
convinced me you're wrong.
Yeah. So interesting. What do you guys think?
I actually think you're probably right. This is where it gets confusing, right? Google has been called out multiple times, misleading, and I use that word in italics and quotes, right? People about privacy. Google's business model,
yes,
is tracking data.
Yeah,
right. Like that's their business model. And if you don't understand that, you obviously just tuned in for the first time ever. Right? Because we've talked about
yes.
that. Part of me, and Google's response I thought was interesting. Their response was not, no, we didn't do that. Their response was, oh, Texas is looking at outdated stuff, which translates to, oh yeah, we totally did that, but we stopped. Right? So, and is it possible that they totally did it because of what you're saying, Tom? They made a mistake. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, sure.
This is that stuff that always makes me, I don't know where I fall on it. I absolutely don't. We just had an entire podcast I was on earlier today. Today is my day of recordings. We were actually talking about the FTC and the Log4j vulnerability, where the FTC said, hey, if you don't patch and consumers are harmed, we're coming after you, right? And it's literally the third time I've mentioned that today. Oh my gosh. But I think this falls into the same type of thing, right? Part of me, the small government part of me, not the stupid conservative fake people, small government, but actual small government part of me, doesn't like the idea of these government agencies, and lots of them, right? Like in the article, it talked about, Arizona went after them, Texas went after them, New York's probably going to go next, California, right? Like bam, 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 right? We do have this idea of double jeopardy that we've totally ruined with federal charges, but the fact that people can be found guilty of murder and then charged again federally, I don't understand. I'm saying I don't understand how that's not double jeopardy. I say the same thing here, right? But at the same time that I say, man, I really don't like that the government is doing this, I don't know of another way to fix this problem except the government going after them, right? And so I don't know. So I lean toward, I don't know a better solution, so this is the one we'll accept. But at the same time, I think we really have to look at intent, and we all know how hard intent is. That's why I made the joke about Enron, right?
Right.
A whole bunch of people, when the Enron stuff went by, were like, no, that's just business. They messed up. And then it was like, oh, wait a minute, they're shredding stuff to protect. Like, okay, maybe they did know.
Yeah, that's just
right?
business.
Yeah, just business. I shred lots of stuff as the auditors are breaking down the door.
No, it's our information management retention policies. We got to get rid of this stuff.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
our policy is shred it right before the police show up. It's just that just happens to be the day we shred it. But like, that's why I say is I agree with you. It's so complex. It's so, like, you look at the web and activity stuff. A lot of that web and activity stuff is other sites that have gotten your permission to track location data, but they're using Google to do it. So yes, you told Google, stop tracking my location, but you also told Nike, I don't know, I made that one up, but or Walmart.com, yes, track my location because I want to go to the local store, and Walmart decided to use Google. So which permissions, and I don't know that that's what happened here, but I know that has happened elsewhere. Which permission set does Google honor? The one that you told Google don't do it, or the one that you told Walmart, yes, it's okay?
It's complicated. Yeah.
So in my head, I believe, Tom, you're right. They screwed up. They directed it to the stuff for the Google stuff. It's more of a communication problem, not a maliciousness problem, not a false advertising problem. And I'm well aware false advertising can be called communication problem. I don't know. I think this one sucks, but I have long been the guy that says I don't need to be doing something bad to want privacy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm also willing to give up some privacy for convenience.
Yep.
The fact that when I need to buy something, I can open up my phone and it shows me the local store that has the item I want. I like.
Right.
Yeah.
The fact that Google and Walmart and Target and Best Buy and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah,
know where
I live.
Your loyalty programs, frequent flyers and all those
things.
I
don't do loyalty programs.
No,
I don't do loyalty
Most people do, though.
If you ever compromise the system and it's a loyalty program and it has my name in it, they're probably a customer. But every time I go, they're like, "Can we have your phone number?" I'm like, "Nope."
Yeah. But just to prove the point of what you're saying, though, we all give up a bit of privacy, except for Kevin, for frequent flyer miles or whatever. Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, I forgot frequent flyer pilots. Okay, I lied. I'm in loyalty program.
There you go. I knew it.
Yes, you are.
He's such a hypocrite.
I am. I'm a horrible hypocrite.
Yeah. You heard it here first, folks. That's right.
Oh, man.
All right. Well, great stories this week, guys. And thank you again, always, for your commentary. And I did want to mention real quick before we depart here, thanks to everyone that's checked out and joined the Reddit community. We've seen people join. We've seen comments and some feedback on some of the stories. So much appreciated. And if you haven't, check the link here below and in the video or in our show notes, or just go on Reddit and search for Shared Security Show. You'll see the subreddit pop up and hit that join button. Much appreciated. And we look forward to seeing your comments and thoughts.
And we're a little delinquent, but happy Privacy Day belated.
Yes,
it's
that
today.
would be last week.
No, isn't it? I thought it was January 27th, but yeah.
We're not
something like that, whatever date it is.
We're respecting its privacy.
Okay, there you
go. Respecting the privacy of Privacy Day. That's right. All right, everyone. Well, thanks again for listening, and we will talk to you all next week.
Thanks, folks.
That's all for this week's show. Visit our website, sharedsecurity.net, for all previous episodes and to sign up for our email newsletter. Looking for Shared Security merch? Be sure to check out our online store at store.sharedsecurity.net. Don't forget, you can always find us on Twitter at SharedSec, and please hit that like and subscribe button below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week for another episode of the Shared Security Show.